I went down the Reddit rabbit hole to look for some job postings, and let me tell you, there's some pretty cringeworthy opportunities out there. So if you're looking for how to spot a poor quality employer, stick around. This video is for you. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff, and today I want to bring you the third installment of Cringeworthy Job Postings. I've been scouring the internet for cringeworthy job postings and doesn't seem like there's any shortage out there. So I compiled a few more to dissect so we can figure out what the red flags are in these job opportunities. Now, a little disclaimer, the purpose of this isn't to trash a bunch of random employers. It's really to help you identify how to spot poor quality employers so that you can focus on the best quality opportunities out there, because there's too many great opportunities out there and too many great companies to be spending your time on less than desirable opportunities. And some of these I consider to be downright predatory. I just want to make sure that you know how to identify those so that you can avoid them in your job search. But before we get too far into it, if you're interested in more videos just like this one directly from a corporate recruiter, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you might want to consider hitting that notification bell as well. So without further ado, let's get into some of these job postings. And again, let's use this as a learning opportunity. So the first one isn't a job posting, but rather it's a picture, but I felt like it was worth taking a look at. It looks like we have a picture from a racetrack gas station. It looks like the front door, and there's a sign taped up, a pretty crude sign taped up that says, "We are closed due to Alex walking out. We apologize about the inconvenience," and then dash racetrack team. Let's break this down. So evidently the leadership team felt it necessary to throw poor Alex here under the bus to all the future customers that would be coming in throughout the course of the night. And I guess they made up this sign and posted it there that Alex walked out. And now the question is why did Alex walk out? But now I don't know why Alex left, but I have to think that based on the behavior, the really childish behavior of the leadership team to put a note like this on the door, that it was probably the leadership team that was the problem. So good on you, Alex, for walking out and not tolerating an evidently extremely toxic workplace. And shame on you, racetrack, for hiring and supporting supervisors who pull this kind of stunt. It's a really bad look for your customers, because if I'm walking into racetrack and I see this, I'm automatically assuming that it was the leadership problem and they either weren't paying them correctly, they weren't treating them correctly, and it was a big enough issue that Alex just pieced out. So honestly, this one's pretty shocking. Taking a look at this next one, and this one also isn't a job posting. It's a note that I'm assuming somebody who worked there, or they published this note about raises at some, it looks like some educational establishment, some school of some sort. So at the board meeting, it says, at the board meeting last evening, the board voted to change the hourly pay rate for all instructional aides. This encompasses all interventionist, special education, classroom instructional aides. We value what you do for our corporation. Okay, so it's a for-profit corporation, so we've established that. Therefore, the pay rate does include a loyalty component. So, like, what the heck is a loyalty component? Is there a do they get a percentage for how many years they've worked there, or how well they follow instructions or something? I'm not sure what is the loyalty component. I don't know. Thank you for all you do, Board of Trustees. So the new instructional aide pay scale is starting at 12, and after 5 years of working there, you finally get a 50-cent raise. Let's do the math on this. If you had inflation, let me get my phone out, and I'm going to do a quick math. If you had inflation at a clip right now, it's at a clip of like 10%, but let's just give it a 3%. 12. But if you had just 3% inflation for 5 years, you would be looking at nearly $14 an hour just to keep pace with inflation. So working somewhere for 5 years and only getting a 50-cent raise, and it doesn't look like you have to, it looks like you probably have to work there for 5 years to get the 50-cent raise. So in year 4, you're still making $12 an hour. And is $12 even, I don't even know if that's even minimum. I mean, you can go to McDonald's and make more than that. So then again, 10 years, you get another 50 cents. 15 years, you get another 50 cents. All the way, I mean, basically all the way up to, could you imagine working somewhere for 30 years and only getting a $3 an hour raise? Like, how do they expect to keep a single person? Like literally, if you're working as an instructional aide here and you have spent 30 years working at this rate, what are you still doing there? Like use the educational opportunity. I'm sure they have some sort of tuition. They have to have tuition reimbursement. Use the tuition reimbursement and up your skill and like get out of there. But then they're saying a higher hourly rate may be considered for staff with master's degrees at the discretion of superintendent. So if you've gone to school and gone through a bachelor's degree plus a master's degree program, and you could potentially make you get a 50-cent bump if you're have a master's degree. I mean, that's absolutely insane. So I don't know what organization it is. I'm assuming this is a for-profit, one of those for-profit schools. But man, I'm if this is the new wage range, I'm really scared to know what the old wage range is, because they seem to be pretty happy with this, and they're announcing this as if they're really throwing them a bone. Oh gosh. All right, so let's look at the next one. Here we've got it looks like a startup company called Salty Llama. I don't know if they're still around or not, but Salty Llama, they are looking for a Shopify web development manager. And here's the thing, they're looking for 7 hours a week in exchange for equity. So they're not going to pay you for developing their website, their Shopify website. They're going to give you equity in their company should they go. So I'm assuming they're pre-IPO, 7 hours per week in exchange for equity. Now, you have to think, I think there's another page here. Okay, so let's break this down, then we'll break down that. So compensation for the Shopify web development manager, and I love how they throw the term manager around very loose, I'm sure very loosely, but you will form part of a founding team. So you will be part of the founding team and have the ability to earn up to 0.25% equity value in a company. In general, that would actually be pretty decent if it was a legit company that was going to go, really had a good chance at going public. But the fact is that they only have this person working 7 hours a week in exchange for up to 0.25% equity seems very fishy. So we're ideally looking for somebody who is motivated and who will be able to put in at least 1 hour per day, or rather 7 hours per week for the interim until such time that we have gained launched our MVP and have gained some traction. So they are literally as startup as it gets, and it sounds like they are. They're doing a Shopify web store, so they're selling some sort of maybe like drop ship products. And then there's a please note, we are unable to pay any salary or freelancer fee at this time, as we plan to use the money that we receive to market the company and market the product and scale the company. Okay, this is of course temporary solution, and at the time the company grows, it generates enough revenue to support its own operations. You could be rewarded with a full-time position and a generous salary pack. You could be. They're dangling some carrot of maybe you'll get a full-time position and maybe it'll be generous. We don't really know. It's like the most empty promise I've ever seen on a job posting before. So there's some stuff to break down here, and I'm not taking this opportunity seriously at all. But the fact is, they actually put it in LinkedIn, and there's an easy apply button. Is kind of scary, to be perfectly honest with you. So they're offering 7 hours. At least they're only asking for 7 hours a week versus somebody to put 40 to 50 hours a week in. But the fact is that the chances that this company is going to go public seems absolutely, I think it's less than the amount of equity value. It's probably less than 0.25%. So if you want to just work for free, essentially for these people, which is probably illegal, if you want to work for free for these people, then, by all means apply for this job. But the chances of you actually seeing a dime of compensation and the chances of you seeing a dime of equity turning into a liquidity event is almost nil. So not all startups are good. There's some really great startups out there, but not all startups are good. This one I would probably avoid. Okay, so this one is really interesting. This is a company called Canonical. It's a software company. Ubuntu, I think, is their product. So Generally speaking, when you have and I've talked about this in other videos, kind of as some red flags to look for with employers, but when you have a company that spams out the same position over a wide geographic area, in other words, they post it in a bunch of different locations, that's generally because they don't get good candidate flow. They have a bunch of they have an opening that they can never seem to fill, and they can't seem to get people through an interview process. And so any one of those is a red flag. So when you see these types of postings, and this is, San Diego, Charlotte, I mean, it's like literally they're like throwing mud up against the wall and seeing if anything sticks. You can see how, and they have 2 days ago, no applicant flow. Now the applicant flow on LinkedIn is kind of, you can't really trust those numbers because they can get applicants from other places, other ATS or other job posting boards and other ways that you can't see there. But it does not look like, it looks like people are pretty wise to the fact that there's something fishy going on with this canonical company. So all of these job postings in different locations that look like they're for the same, I cannot imagine they have a talent selection lead. I'm assuming that's a recruiter. I've never heard of that before. Talent selection lead. Yeah, it has to be a recruiter. Or talent acquisition, I've heard. I've never heard of talent selection lead. That's a very strange vernacular for that particular job type. So I'm already starting to get a little suspicious about this company, that maybe they're not legit, or maybe it's not run by somebody who is worked in talent acquisition, because we wouldn't call it that. All right, so it continues to get better. This is a good one. You're going to want to stick through this one. So we've got here's their job posting, and this is the posting for each one of these jobs. So here we have, when you actually click into the job posting, it pops up. Canonical is a growing international software company that has an open source Ubuntu, the world's best free software platform. Okay, so it kind of gives you a little blurb. It's like a boilerplate blurb of who they are. Then it says job summary, and then the title must appear, and then as a title you will, and then 5 to 10 bullet points, key responsibilities. Then that successful title will have 5 to 10 responsibilities. Then it says down here, the recruiter adds additional benefits if applicable, and then there's all this stuff that they can add. So this recruiter, whoever was doing this job posting, or these series of job postings, put out their template for every one of their jobs, which is probably why they have no candidate flow on LinkedIn. I mean, I guess I can see why. I guess I could see that as being an honest mistake. I mean, maybe typically when we post a job on an ATS system, like on a back end, we'll usually just put the rec in, and then we submit the rec, and the rec will open on our ATS system. And then there's usually a service that kind of talks to different, it can basically propagates out to a bunch of different job boards. So it'll go out to LinkedIn, it'll go out to Indeed, it'll go out to like 20 or 30 of them. So we don't actually physically go onto LinkedIn and create job postings. It automatically is done for us. So it looks like maybe they hit submit and opened up a rec on their ATS system in all these locations without actually putting in a job description. But anyway, it's kind of I'm sure they found and discovered their issue, but this is 2 days later. This is 2 days after this job has been live for 2 days, and it's still like this. So I mean, if you can kind of guess what you would be doing again, the weird title, if you can kind of guess what you're doing, I'm assuming it's a recruiter. But yeah, they evidently do need recruiting help if if they're doing this. But it keeps on getting better. So stick with me, guys. So this is a different job. So somebody, ironically enough, at the same company is going to be considered for a senior Linux support engineer with this company. And so I'm assuming they applied for the job, and then they got a response back from the recruitment team. And here's what it says. I mean, this is like, holy moly. Okay, so I mean, I can appreciate thoroughness, especially as a recruiter, giving candidates as much information as possible to keep them prepared. I'm totally about that. But this is like, holy moly. Okay, so let's break this down. We'll walk through it first, and then we'll break it down kind of step by step. It says, I'm hiring lead for this role, and it will be your primary point of contact throughout the application process. Okay, contact me directly. The role is an okay, it kind of tells you a little about the job. This role will be for a passionate engineer who like to deep dive into problems, interact daily with customers, and work on technology equally. Okay, whether or not your skills are in networking. or visualization. Okay, you're ready to rise to the challenge. Probably best. Okay, Okay, I have reviewed your resume and progressed your application. So this is the initial outreach. So a person applied for a job. The recruiter sends this as the second round, basically to initiate the first round screen. So then they send this. This is where it gets interesting. The hiring process looks like this: the initial application review, which has been complete, and then moves into the written interview, which is this stage. I have never heard of a written interview before, so I have no idea what this is. So we're going to figure out what that is as we read through this. Then after you get through the written interview, you go into a standardized personality and aptitude. It's like, let's play bingo for how many like hoops that you have to jump through. So, okay, written interview. I got this weird. I'm almost like, I have no idea what that is. Okay, so then standardized personality and aptitude tests. There's more than one, so check. Put it on your bingo card. Then you have an introductory interview. So you have to go through a written interview, then a personality profile, and then an aptitude test just to get to an introductory interview. So I'm assuming that a written interview, you're probably spending at least an hour on, and then these personality profiles and aptitude tests typically take anywhere from 30 to, I've seen some as long as an hour. So you're probably spending now at this point 2 to 3 hours without any guarantee that you're actually going to speak to a hiring authority. So then once you go through the introductory interview, then it looks like a technical take-home test and technical interview. Oh my gosh, they literally everything. Okay, so like literally every single red flag checkbox in an interview, all like my personal pet peeves. So a technical take-home test, and then technical interviews. So you have take-home test, then you have technical interviews. Then on top of that, the last step is leadership interview. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then I guess if you call it written, a fourth interview. Then you've got personality profiles and then a take home. Like, holy moly. Okay, so please note, our hiring process is rigorous. Or how about it's like ridiculous? They should maybe change it to ridiculous. And we are not in a rush to make this appointment. Well, I hope you're not in any rush to fill any of your jobs, because any self-respecting Linux support engineer is going to have a billion opportunities with tons of recruiters hitting them up and paying quite a bit of money that they do not have to tolerate this. And if you're a Linux engineer and you need a job, you contact me, because I will not put you through this type of application process, and I will get you hired much faster than this. While the process takes time, we believe it is the best way to fairly evaluate candidates and provide incredible opportunities to waste all of your time and hours of your life that you'll never get back and not be compensated for, so that you can get to the end and get a rejection. The current stage of your written interview and prepared statement for interviewers is that the current stage is your written interview, a prepared statement for the interviewers to read in advance of your meeting to cover your interests, priorities, experience, and ambition. So essentially what they're doing is they're screening themselves out, and this recruiter is using an absolutely lazy way of doing it. Fill out these job application questions so that you can screen yourself out, so that I don't have to do it for you. And then please take your time with this. Yeah, of course. Please invest as much time as possible. And if you answer any of them wrong, you're going to be exited. And thanks for all your time that you invested. So please take your time as much as possible, and be sure to highlight specific achievements which you feel demonstrate exceptional talent, leadership, and character. Oh, man. Please cover the following topics in any style that you prefer. Now, you have to get a load of this. Here's the list of questions that you have to prepare. I gotta know how many people actually if you have gone through this application process for Conical, please send me a note, leave a message down below and tell me about your experience. This is I think this is the worst This is exactly what not to do if you're in talent acquisition and if you're trying to learn what good looks like. Do the exact opposite of this. It is very clear to me that Whoever designed this interview has never worked in talent acquisition before, because I have never worked in an organization that would ever support this kind of recruitment and make you go through all of these steps. I've worked in organizations that make you go through some steps, and honestly, I didn't really care for them, but never this many steps. I mean, look at this. This is like, how would you describe your school interest in mathematics and computing? And then they want you to rank yourself. And then what sort of high school student? Why are they talking about high school when this is a senior job? Outside work, outside of required work, what were your interests and hobbies? At high school or university, can you outline some of your achievements that were considered exceptional? Oh my God, like really? Like a senior person that has like 7 to 10 years of experience, you're going to expect them to go back to university or high school and remember what achievements they had that were exceptional? Which course or university did you choose, and like what university did you choose and why? Which university studies did you enjoy the most? I mean, why are they so focused on university for a senior position? It's almost bizarre. Like this is a weird hiring manager. I can imagine being the recruiter for this job. I would just quit. How do you rank how do you rank in your degree? I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even know where I ranked in my degree. I wouldn't even know how to find that out. And granted, I graduated for like 5,000 people, but at your time, like seriously, half of these questions about university for a senior level job. This is just downright bizarre. So then we finally get into some of the technical questions. So questions about Linux and all the other stuff. And in all honesty, this should be a technical interview. So this stuff should be assessed during a technical interview with a hiring authority or somebody that's a technical authority. Then you can set up your interviews with to assess leadership principles or other behavior-based questions. Maybe one interviewer is asking certain competencies, and then you've got one that's assessing the technical stuff. But this is downright bizarre, the fact that they are asking you to fill in or to submit, like this is like 30 or 40 questions worth of stuff. And again, this is not even guaranteeing that you're going to even get an interview. You're literally screening yourself out. So all in all, this is perhaps the most bizarre application I have ever seen in my entire life. Okay, moving right along. I know I've spent a lot of time on Canonical, so they probably hate me. But here we've got this company called Turf Envy that is looking for a human resources specialist. And of course, this one is unpaid. Now, this looks like a very small company, 11 to 50 employees, but they're big enough that they're putting a job posting out there. And this looks like this is also LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn with the like low quality jobs, like what's going on there? So let's see, they say, some stuff about better time to invest in there's never been a better time to invest in your future by working for free, by learning new skills, improving those skills you already have, and doing it for nothing. A virtual internship is a new and exciting way to jumpstart your career. How is that going to jumpstart your career? I would love to know how working for free, I guess if you're really desperate for experience and you want to work for some tiny little company doing grunt work for free, well, maybe. But man, you got to be really desperate. If you want to work and have, we want you to have fun. Like, it's work. People don't have fun at work. Come on, guys. I'm not saying that to be like Debbie Downer, but it's work. And to sit there and say like, oh, we're going to have balloons and circus clowns and everybody's going to be like happy and hopping around and throwing parties constantly, you're working. It's work. We're trying to get something done. We have a mission to accomplish. We've got stuff to do. But they pitch it as like, we all have so much fun. It's like, okay, like I guess like you could be on a team that's more energetic and enjoyable to be on than others. But to know, let's see, we are all superheroes here. It's like that. That is so cringe. This whole like analogy of ninja and superhero, like you see with recruiters a lot. They'll say that they're a ninja, a unicorn, find a purple squirrel hunter. Like all this, like that stuff is so cringy. And it's like, no, you are a recruiter. You are a lawn keeper. I mean, turf envy. I'm assuming that's a turf and lawn. And then here they reference the Avengers. The Avengers can help. The Avengers can save the world on a regular basis. Why not us? It's because you treat people's lawns. That's why. The ultimate goal is to help people achieve their career goals by providing them with the tools. Blah 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 blah. Okay, da 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 da. Come have fun with our zany team. And expand your skills and portfolio in a relaxed virtual environment. And then this Julie Braun, who is who we are, is going to pay you nothing for the privilege of doing that. So if you have any self-respect, don't apply for a company like this because it is not going to move the needle in your career, or very little. It'll move the needle. Have some self-respect and get paid for your services. Okay, and I want to wrap things up with this one post because this one is like particularly cringe-worthy, and this is not a job posting. So, but I saw this and I was just like, oh, this is really bad. So and this is like, recruiters already get a bad rap, and some right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, I have my own opinions on the recruitment the feature, or the recruitment profession, but there are some really great recruiters out there. There's some really great companies who do recruiting really well out there. And then there's some people like this. And this person says, as a recruiter, I get the most joy out of rejecting candidates. I don't think I have ever enjoyed rejecting a candidate before. And the fact that you get joy on any level out of rejecting candidates is such a narcissistic, psychopathic mentality. How is that even fun? And she says, yes, you heard that right. Offering a candidate a job is relatively easy in comparison to telling somebody they haven't got the job. And then rejecting a candidate with the dignity they deserve is how I add value to my clients. I mean, I'm glad that she's like closing the loop on people and not ghosting them and giving them that kind of a closure on the job process. But to say that you actually enjoy it and that's the most joy you get, this woman's crazy and is a psycho. So, and clearly not too many people resonate with her because she's posted this 2 days ago and she's only got 44 engagements on it. And I'm like really curious about this woman who gives her the heart. like how could you love that? That's a insane person talking. No recruiter of value enjoys rejecting people. It's really not about that. We are just trying to get the right people into the right seats, and if you're not the right fit, sometimes it's you have to give the unpleasant messages. That's just part of the job. Sorry, I think I hit my mic. But nobody in their right mind likes to reject and disappoint somebody who's really put their effort and their heart and soul into a process, and it feels like they might be getting a job. I mean, that's one of the worst feelings. I hate doing that. That's my least favorite part of the job. My most favorite part of the job is giving somebody an offer so that they can have a life-changing event and that they can that we can provide them with, something that's very satisfying when you get somebody that's really truly appreciative and you can give them a nice offer that really is the compensation is very competitive and the opportunity is a great opportunity for them to grow their career. Nothing feels better than that. So the fact that this woman gets the most joy out of rejecting candidates, she could not be more different than me. So, all right. So this is always just kind of in fun, a little bit tongue in cheek. So hopefully nobody gets too bent out of shape about it. But I wanted to just present you with some things to consider when you're in your job search, because these are all indicators of poor quality employers versus what we want to look at for good quality employers. If you're in an active job search, spend your time with companies that are going to value you, are going to treat you properly, are going to respect your time, and are going to pay you properly. That's the moral of this whole story. If you're somebody that is in a situation where you just seem to be attracting these low quality employers, that is something that I specialize in. And I highly encourage you to check out my brand new website, lifeafterlayoff.com. I completely redid it, so it's a lot better user experience. I'm still working out some of the kinks on it, but it is a much nicer experience. So if you're somebody that's struggling, go over there and check out the resources that are there. And I think that you'll find some value. I also offer some training courses in the form of Resume Rocketfuel, which is going to help help you write your resume in a way that's going to get the recruiter, hopefully not this recruiter, to notice you and get you into that first round interview more expeditedly than the canonical one. We don't make you go through all those needless steps, but get you into that interview process in a more timely fashion, and get you. It's going to give you the best chance of getting noticed for that first round. Once you get noticed for that first round interview, then it's up to you to sell yourself throughout the rest of the interviewing process, and that's where the Ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp comes in, and it's going to give you all the tips and insider tricks to pass each step of that interview to ultimately land the dream offer. I'm also working on training right now. Probably by the time you see this video, it may actually be up. I'm like literally in the final stages of trying to complete it. It's all about LinkedIn. So if you're trying to get more recruiters to come to you and recruit you, this LinkedIn course is going to be right up your alley. So I'm putting the final touches on. I'm super excited about it. And again, hopefully it'll be up within the next, hopefully by the time you even see this. Otherwise, I know this has been a lot of fun. I'll continue to do these as I find these job postings. If you have any real doozies for me, you can feel free to send them to my email. I'll leave the link in the description. You can find it on my website as well. Otherwise, appreciate you watching. And as always, we will see you on the next one.